Your next challenge is an illustration one, and first of all I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about illustrating that story. Story of the most beautiful heart. One day in the busy square where traders sold their wares and storytellers and musicians gathered to entertain, a young man was speaking to the crowd. "People, look at me! I have the most beautiful heart in the world." Many people flocked around him and were so stunned to see this beautiful heart. Such a perfect shape, so flawless, so exquisite. Most of the people who saw his heart were mesmerized by its beauty, and they praised him, exclaiming that it was indeed the most perfect heart they had seen. But then an old man emerged from the crowd and challenged the young man. "Yours is not the most beautiful heart, my son. You'll find I have one of equal beauty." The young man, full of disbelief, asked, "Show me then, for I don't believe you." The old man showed his heart. It was very different, a wild patchwork of texture and colour with rough and ragged edges. The heart of the old man simply looked like various pieces of heart roughly joined together into the shape of a heart. The young man started laughing at the heart. "My dear old man, are you mad? See my heart, how beautiful and flawless it is. You cannot find even a little bit of imperfection in my heart, but yours is full of scars, wounds, blemishes, a patchwork thing of mismatched pieces. How can you say your heart is beautiful?" "Dear boy," said the old man, "my heart is just as beautiful as yours is. You see these scars? Every scar represents love I have shared with someone. I share a piece of heart with others when I share love, and in return I get a piece of heart, which I fix into the place that I've given a piece from," he said. The young man was shocked. Since everyone loves each other in a different way, their piece of heart may not fit perfectly into my heart, so you can see some rough edges. "These scars and rough edges remind me of the love that we shared," he continued. "Sometimes the people I love do not return it and gaps are created, but they remind me of the love that I bore for those people too. So, where do you see the real beauty? In your heart, which looks so fresh and so perfect, with no scars, or mine, which has loved so many and so often? You've never shared love with anyone, have you?" The young man stood still. He didn't speak a word. Tears started to roll down his cheeks. He stared at the ground as the people fell silent. Then he walked over to the old man, tore off a piece of his heart and handed it gently to him. The old man took it reverently and did likewise. The two embraced, and the crowd parted to let them pass. They left the market square together, arm in arm. This is a traditional story that I'm retelling. We don't know where it started, but it's common in India and also across parts of North Africa and the Middle East. So The Beautiful Heart is the story that you're going to be illustrating. And your challenge now is to produce one or more, you can do as many as you like, illustrations to The Beautiful Heart. So spend some time thinking about the elements of the story that have the most power and impact for you. Illustration is always better when you approach it as a personal expression as well as an artistic one. Remember that the essence of good illustration is sometimes not to actually tell the story, because the words have done that. It's to capture the feeling, sum up the essence of something about the story. You can highlight elements and give them time and consideration. You can provide visual clues to parts of the story and what it means to you. For me, the images that jump out immediately are the square, the hearts, the crowd, the two men, the young, the old, their faces, their expressions, their hands. And also the tears, the embrace, the crowd scenes, that final farewell as they leave, that parting of the crowd and the two men leaving arm in arm. There are lots of ways that you can approach it. It can be as simple or as complicated as you like. You can use any media. For instance, if you were going to think about actually illustrating the hearts themselves, you could do something quite abstract with collage, with mixed media. You've got a lot of choices. You could even use embroidery, sewing. There's mention of patchwork. There's mention of, so textiles could even be a direction to go in. There are no rules about how you illustrate. It's summing up a story and finding a way to add to it that you're looking to do. It doesn't matter what kind of media, what kind of approach. Okay. And less is often more with illustration, especially when you're first starting out. So if you decide to do a face, you might decide to do a close-up. You could even just do part of a face. You could do just a hand. Just think about not making it too difficult for yourself to begin with. You can always move on to something more complex later. Give the observer of your illustration a focus. Draw them in. What's going to hold their attention? So if you're doing a crowd gathered, you could do the entire crowd in quite an impressionistic way, perhaps from a distance, but then have a focus, some spot colour somewhere, a sea of faces but one person picked out and their expression highlighted. There's lots and lots of ways that you can approach it. You could add to the story by focusing on one person. You can think about changes in viewpoint. Are you looking at the scene from above or below, or from the side, or from very, very close to, or from very far away? So all of those things can matter. Extreme detail or quite abstract. And lastly, think about where you're setting your story. If you include elements that are going to have any kind of sense of place, if you're going to depict people and you're going to be dressing them, that matters. You can set it anywhere you like, but it does matter. Even if you're not going to be doing it realistically, where you set the story in your mind as you're working on it will affect the colours and the shapes that you use. So have a place in your head where you think this story happened. For me, it's always the Jemaa el-Fnaa in Marrakesh, because I know it very well and it's such a colourful, amazing place. So that's always where I imagine this happening, but you will probably have your own place that you imagine. So please go ahead and start to do some work. Make notes if you want to. Make notes, draw little shapes and sketches. If you're sort of looking to kind of get into doing something very quickly, you could actually try going through magazines and trying to find images that you can collage together, which will start to spark some ideas off about how you would approach this. I find collage is a really good way to start to brew ideas sometimes, especially for something like this. I'm here. Any advice you need, just shout. I will make the text of the story available and also my kind of hints and tips available. But it's a very organic thing. So if you have questions, if you have any questions about technique or about ways to approach something, if you feel a bit stuck, just ask. Please do get in touch, because I'm looking forward so much to seeing what you do with this. I've workshopped it a few times and it's always fabulous to see how different people approach it. So good luck, bon chance, and I'll see you soon.